This book traumatized me. This book was really haunting. Are often words used to describe books written by the children's author Jacqueline Wilson, and this is because of the topics that she discusses in her books. And in this video today, I want to go over the book called Dustbin Baby. Dustbin Baby was a book that came out in 2001. It tells the story of this young girl called April. She's 14 years old, and when she was just a couple hours old, she was abandoned in a bin behind a pizza shop. And also in 2008, this book got a film, so we're going to be going over both of them. When April was a couple hours old, her birth mom placed her in this bin behind a pizza shop and she abandoned her. And this young boy called Frankie, who was 17 at the time, working part-time at the pizza shop, ends up finding her. And her story is all over the news. They refer to her as the Dustbin Baby, and she gets her name April because she was born on April the 1st. And the story in the book and the movie start 14 years later. It's the morning of her birthday, and she's really excited to get a phone because that's the only thing that she wants. All the girls in her friend group, everyone in school has a phone, but she doesn't, so she feels left out. But when she goes downstairs, her foster mom Marion didn't get her phone. She got her some earrings, and this leads to them having a fight. And Marion says she's really trying to be the best mom to her, and April screams at her, says like, well, don't, you're not my mom. And this starts off April's journey for the whole day as she's going around all the places that she's been when she was younger, trying to find like some part of herself, trying to understand her story. Because one thing that really upsets her is family trees. When they have to do family trees at school, she doesn't really know where she came from. All she knows is that she was abandoned in a bin and she was moved from foster home to foster home. So in the book and the film, we're seeing her revisiting these places. The difference between April in the books and the film is that April in the books is referred to as April Showers because she gets emotional a lot, which we don't really see in the film because the book is narrated by her, so we see a lot of her emotions. She gets really upset when she sees her friends with their moms and how their moms comfort them. Even if their mom is telling them off, she feels jealous and she feels really upset about the fact that she doesn't really have a mom that does all this for her, so she gets really emotional. It's from page 17 in the books about page 19. April's questioning why her mom abandoned her, why her mom didn't want her anymore. She's asking herself questions like, was she a young girl? Was she in school like me? Did she know she was pregnant? Maybe she didn't know. Maybe she had parents and she was scared to tell them. Maybe she just thought that she was having stomach cramps and she had the baby. Maybe she didn't even know she was pregnant. Maybe she didn't even know how she got pregnant. And she also asked the question of like, how actually did her mom get pregnant? Maybe she was at a party one day. Maybe someone gave her a drink and they told her, oh, I love you, let's do this. And even though she didn't want to, she kind of felt a bit pressured and she did it. And 9 months later, she had the baby. I think it would have been good if they included this in the film because we don't really see April questioning a lot of like, why did my mom like actually abandon me? Why was it like this? In the book, you see a lot of her emotions, which I really like. So instead of going to school, April decides she's going to visit all these places that she's been to when she was younger, try to understand a little bit of her history, a little bit of her background and where she came from and what actually happened during her time there. So the first stop is this foster home that's run by this woman called Pat, and she specializes in taking in babies. In the film and the book, Pat doesn't really recognize April, but in the film when she says, I'm April, the Dustbin Baby, she recognizes her. She tells her when you were young, you would not stop crying, you used to be like this, you used to be a fussy baby, and she gives her clipping of the news article when she was found that says baby found in dustbin. In the book, even though she tells her that she does recognize her, she really doesn't. Something that they changed in this scene is April's connection to this young girl called Tanya, who's currently under the care of Pat. And Tanya's this young girl, she has orange spiky hair, she's really cool. Her and April go up to Tanya's room and they start talking to each other and they start bonding. April tries on Tanya's clothes, Tanya's shoes, she puts makeup on for her, and they start really bonding. When April tells her that her first foster mom ended up passing away, Tanya tells her, my mom ended up taking her own life too. And this is when April feels comfortable with Tanya. She feels like she doesn't have to hide who she is. She feels like she doesn't have to hide like where she came from and what her past was like. In the film, it's just like a quick second, like they talk to each other and she says, oh, you're the Dustbin Baby? Oh, that's crazy. Like, why did she abandon you? And then also she asks your current foster mom, did she specialize in teenagers? And then that's it, they part ways. After the visit to Pat's house, April goes and visits the grave of her first adoptive mother, this woman she refers to as Mummy, and she talks about how much she really misses her. She also questions, did this woman really love me, or was I only brought into the household so she can keep her husband with her? April gets adopted by this couple when she's 1 year old, and she's there for quite a while, and things start to really turn when she's 5 years old. The husband is a serial cheater. He's sleeping around with other women. He comes home really drunk. Sometimes he comes home really late, and when he does, he's drunk, and he gets really angry at the wife and April. And sometimes when he comes back, he love bombs the mom, and he gives her some flowers, and the mom just accepts this, and she's like, yeah, he really loves me. And April is questioning, like, how can my mom be easily swayed by this man? And then one day he just doesn't come back, and the mom becomes really depressed to the point where she can't take care of herself and she can't take care of April, and April has to start washing her own clothes. She's only 5 years old at this point. And then one day she ends up locking herself in the bathroom and taking her own life. This scene in the book and the film was really sad. Like, I can't even imagine a child finding themselves in this position where they come across their parent who's taken their own life, or just coming across the body of their parent. That is really traumatizing for the child in this position. April is really going through a lot. She's wetting the bed, she's screaming, she's very traumatized. Like, she feels like she wants her mom and she keeps screaming for her mom. What does the dad go and do? He takes her back into the care system. How can someone do that? You adopt a child, and then because you don't want to take care of them, you don't want to deal with how traumatized this kid is, instead of getting them help, you just take them back. You just take them back. Next up in April's journey is this children's home called Sunnybank. In the film, this is two storylines put together, because in the book, she first goes to this children's home that's run by these two people called Big Mo and Lil Pete, and there she meets this girl called Pearl, who's 2 years older than her, and Pearl is evil because she bullies April. She bullies her, she emotionally manipulates her, she bites her, she convinces everyone around them that April is her best friend, but she tries to drown April when they have a bath together. Because it's only 2 years age difference, they give them baths together, which I don't think that's actually allowed. With foster children, they need the privacy. I don't think you're allowed to have both two of them having a bath together. But someone correct me on that. So yeah, Pearl tries to kill April, and the final breaking point for April is when Pearl goes into her room, and April likes to create these paper dolls, and she rips all that up, and April ends up pushing Pearl down the stairs, which leads to her falling into a coma, and then she gets sent to Sunnybank Children's Home, which is for special kids and special children, and there she meets this girl called Gina, and Gina takes a liking to her, and she gets April to break into houses with her. But in the film, these two storylines take place in the same household, and in the book we learn from April that she never wanted to steal. She was forced to do all this stuff, but in the film, her and Gina are good friends. Gina takes care of her, and we don't see Gina threatening her. We don't see Gina being mean to her. On the topic of Gina, in the film, we don't see Gina again, but in the book, we do. She goes back to the children's home, and she's asking about all the people that live there with her, and they say, no, we don't know this person, we don't know this person, but they know who Gina is. They say, of course we know Gina. Everyone knows Gina. She goes to different children's homes, and she gives lectures, and she's like kind of a mentor to these kids. When April meets Gina again, Gina has changed her life around. She's this grown woman, she's a mentor, she's a lecturer, and she has her own kid, and her and April, they really miss each other, they hug it out. But this is when April learns that Gina, before she became the person that she is, she really had it rough. She said that she previously had a daughter that was taken away from her. She gave her up for adoption because she was high all the time. She was taking any substance. She didn't even know what she was taking, and she was really struggling, and that's why she's really turned herself around. She doesn't want to put anyone through that. She wants to be a good mom, and she's currently studying to become a social worker. I really like the fact that Jacqueline wasn't included this scene in with Gina, and we talked about what happened with her past and what road she was done and how much she's really changed, because a lot of people do believe that once a person is an addict, once a person falls down the wrong road, they can never change, they can never turn their life around, but they can. And I really like the fact that she included this in, because a lot of people, they might know someone in their life, a lot of children who are reading this might know someone in their life that is like this, and there is hope that they can change. The biggest difference in the book and the film is April's foster mother, Marion. Marion, we don't really see a lot of her in the books until we get to the time where April was taken to the special school and Marion was her history teacher, and they ended up meeting, and then later on Marion ends up fostering her. But in the film, we see a lot of Marion. We see when she finds out that April hasn't gone to school, and she's basically losing her mind trying to find her daughter. She refers to her as her daughter, even though April told her, you're not my mom, don't try to be my mom. We see Marion going everywhere, calling people, trying to find her. She's crying. I really like the fact that they included that in, because April felt like no one really liked her, no one really cared about her, people just put up with her. Then when we see Marion in the film, who's losing her mind, trying to make sure that she's all right, she's going to buy her phone. She's like, maybe why didn't I just buy her phone? This is all my fault. She's blaming herself. I really like the fact that we saw a lot of Marion. The final stop in April's journey is the pizza shop. Her story ends how it began, at that pizza shop, and this is where the book and the film both end. So she goes to the pizza shop, and she goes behind the shop, and she's trying to see if her mom is there. She's kind of hoping that her mom remembered that it's her birthday. She's going to come back to where she abandoned her, and she's going to meet her mom, and she's going to find out where she came from, who she is, and why her mom abandoned her. But that doesn't happen, and she sees a phone number on one of the bins that says, baby, call me. At the start in the book, she's very hesitant to do this, so she calls Tanya. This is why I was like, why did they change Tanya's storyline? Because Tanya is a big part in her calling this number, and making her feel confident to call this person and just trying to find out what's gonna happen. You never know. So she ends up calling the number, and it's the guy, Frankie, the kid who found her. And he says, I'm really happy that you called. I've been waiting for all these years. Like, it's your birthday. I'm so glad that you still called April. In the book, Frankie tells her over the phone, but in the film, they have a conversation face to face. And he tells her, when I found you in that bin and I held you, you felt like my own. I wanted to keep you, but I was only 17 years old and they weren't going to let that happen. But when I held you, like, something just switched in me. Even though I held my own children after that when they were born, it didn't feel the same because I held you and I wanted to be your dad and I wish I could have kept you. And this like gives April a part of her history of where she was and what happened, what she was like when she was a baby. And in the film, Marion ends up finding the pizza shop and she's frantically searching for her, and they have this conversation where April tells Marion that you are mine, everything about you is mine and I'm yours, you're my mom. But in the book, they have this conversation over the phone, which didn't really give Marion the whole like, I really care about this girl. She didn't seem like she really cared that much. She called the police, but she was at home, which I think they tell you just in case she comes back. But in the film, she was not sticking around at home. She was searching every single street, like driving crazily, trying to find her daughter. I really like the book and the film. I like the book more in the sense that we get to know more about how April's feeling. But then I also really like the film because we get to see how Marion is feeling and she's more involved in the story. A lot of people would say we shouldn't have been reading stuff like this, like we were too young. But Jacqueline Wilson, I think this book was for a little bit of the older audiences, but a lot of us, we just picked up her books because it was Jacqueline Wilson and we read it. As upsetting as the topics that Jacqueline Wilson covers in her books are, it is a real thing that can happen. Did you know in the UK, January 2024, during the winter times, there was a baby that was abandoned in a shopping bag? The police ended up finding the baby and they ended up calling the baby Elsa. So this is a young baby, a couple hours old, that was abandoned in the winter in a shopping bag. A child being abandoned on the side of the street by their parent in a bag is one of the saddest things I've ever heard of. And across the world, in certain countries, they have these things called the safe haven boxes, the baby boxes. And these are boxes where a mother who doesn't think that she can take care of her child and she doesn't want the child anymore, she will find one of these boxes and she'll put the child in, and it's warm inside. Someone will be alerted and they'll come and provide the proper care that's needed for this child instead of leaving the child on the streets. In the UK, we don't have this. There's this young girl who was petitioning to have these boxes in the UK because she was also a child that was left on the side of the road. She started a petition to get these baby boxes in the UK because she saw the story of baby Elsa, and she said if we had this, maybe this child wouldn't have been left out in the cold like that in a bin bag. But in the UK, we don't have these yet, and I think we should, because there are a lot of kids who are abandoned, and would we rather have a child left on the side of the road, or would we rather have the baby be placed in one of these warm boxes and someone will be alerted straight away and they will take care of this child? I think we should have these. I think we should. So yeah, while a lot of people find this kind of topics that Jacqueline Wilson discusses in her books traumatizing, this is the lived experience of someone. This could be your friend. And if they see you talking about these kind of topics, like saying, oh, reading about this kid being abandoned, reading about this kid's parent taking their own life was really traumatizing for me to read about. And if your friend has lived an experience like this, maybe they wouldn't feel comfortable to talk to you about it. I feel like we should look at these kind of topics and just see what the topics are and discuss them in a way where we don't say, this was very traumatizing. I shouldn't have been reading this kind of topic. This was traumatizing for me, because we don't know what the person next to you is going through. So yeah, everyone, that's all I wanted to say for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and you found it entertaining, because I find it really entertaining to talk about Jacqueline Wilson's books and just books I read in my childhood in general. Hopefully you'll stick around and you'll give this video a like and you'll subscribe to me, and I'll see you in my next video.